गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, in the last class we read this shloka number 108, that is about the Maya, the concept of Maya. We read this shloka, Avyaktanamni Paramesha Shaktihi Anadya Vidya Trigunatmika Para, etc. etc. I explained that shloka. So this concept of Maya, as I have been telling, is very, very important in Advaita, in this non-dual philosophy. Because this is the link which connects that Brahman with the whatever universe is apparent. Because in the non-dual philosophy, not only in the non-dual philosophy, but all the Upanishads say that the supreme reality is not a person. It is not somebody who is sitting there in the sky and then wielding a magic wand, etc. It is of the nature of pure consciousness only. It is of the nature of intelligence, in other words, consciousness, which is infinite in nature and which is existing. It is infinitely existing consciousness. So that is the translation for the three words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. So if it is pure consciousness which has nothing to do with anything, which is nirguna, which has no attributes, it has no functions, nothing, how are you going to link it up with this world which we are seeing? This world is something which we are seeing and feeling, and every day you are crying, enjoying, etc., etc. So how are you going to explain this world? So we have to establish some sort of link. So this Maya is a sort of postulation which is given by Vedanta to link up this universe, this whatever is appearance, this phenomena, with the supreme reality called consciousness. So what we say is that supreme reality is having some sort of manifesting power, and that manifesting power, it is not totally different from Brahman, it is not the same as Brahman, it is like that, it is something which is indefinable, something which is indeterminable. So it is that is how Vedanta explains this word Maya. So why are you supposed to do that? Because from that Maya, all this so-called evolution has taken place. In that Maya, in that expressive power of that supreme consciousness, the first appearance is what we call, we have given a name, we have to give a name to something. We have the first notion of I, the ego, the first notion of self, we have to give a name. So we have given a name called Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb, let us say. Hiranyagarbha literally translated, it means the golden womb. So why is it called a golden womb or Hiranyagarbha? Because whatever God forms you visualize, whatever God forms you imagine in any religion, anywhere in the world, you have to visualize in that only. The first notion of I, that in that consciousness, supreme consciousness, where there is no notion of I or anything, it is like a huge wave which is coming up in a huge ocean, in a mighty ocean, and then this wave thinks, yes, I have got a shape and form, etc., etc. The wave thinks, yes, I am this I. So that notion of I in that huge ocean of consciousness is what is called Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb. And in that golden womb only all these forms we visualize. And along with that Prakriti has got three characteristics, that is Sattva, Rajas and Tamoguna, which we saw in the earlier shlokas. These three gunas, they are responsible for the creation of the five elements, that is Akasha, Vayu, etc., etc. The five elements again, they are in their subtle form, and then they again mix with one another, and then they become the gross forms. And from those subtle elements, etc., from those gross elements, this whole universe has arisen. And then this whole universe has evolved following, and that there is a particular order also which I have told several times. That is initially Vayu, and then Vayu of Agni, etc., etc., and then Prithvi. From that Prithvi, the plant kingdom, and then thereafter Oshadhibhyo Annam, that plant kingdom becomes the food, etc., etc. So, and then that becomes the food for all the beings, all the living beings. So that is how the living being or Purusha has come into existence. So that is what Vedanta says. So this is that link Once that Maya is established, then the entire link is okay. So, entire link is it follows because Maya Parinama. It is not Brahma Parinama. Brahma is not, that supreme reality or consciousness is not getting transformed into this. It is only the Maya which is getting transformed, which is appearing as this, as the phenomenal universe. So that is why we say that Maya is the Karanam, Upadana Karanam, direct Upadana Karanam. That is transformational Upadana Karanam, transformational cause for the universe. That is, it transforms, it mutates. So that is the Upadana Karanam. Whereas Brahma is not the Upadana Karanam. Brahma is only which is called Vivarta. Brahma is merely appearing as this. It is only apparent material cause, not the direct material cause. The direct material cause is Maya only. So because the Maya is only mutating into, is changing, transforming into what all is seen. And what is the nature of Maya? We are going to see in this next shloka, which is again a very beautiful shloka. Wonderful shloka. 109. I'll read. Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano भिन्नाप्य भिन्नाप्युभयात्मिकानो सांगाप्यनंगाप्युभयात्मिकानो महाद्भुता निर्वचनीय रूपा. So this third line, what does your book say? Sangapyananga hyubhayatmika. Does your book say pyubhayatmika? Yeah, pyubhayatmika. That seems to be a better word. Sangapi, anangapi, ubhayatmika. No, that is a better thing. Here it is written as hyu instead of hue, that pu should be better. So we'll see this shloka. Sanna pyasanna pyubhayatmikano. How to split it? Sannapi, sannapi, asannapi, ubhayatmika. No. No means no. It is not. Not so. Na. Na is it is written as no also. Ubhayatmika no. Sat na api becomes sanna api. Sat na api. Sat means whatever exists always, whose existence cannot be questioned at any point of time, which cannot be negated at any point of time. So that is what is Sat. Sat na api. What is it? Sat api na. It means Sat api na. Sat na api can be written as Sat api na. That means it is not Sat. It is not even Sat. Sat api na. Api means even. Asad api na. Asat plus na plus api. Asat na api na means it is not even unreal. It is not even real. It is not even unreal. It is not even a combination of both. So that is what that line means. Ubhayatmika no. Ubhayatmika means both Sat and Asat. So now we have to see what is this Sat and what is Asat. Because we think that the entire thing, what all we see, is something which is existing in front of us. When we say existing, I say I am existing. You are existing. So this pen is existing. The house is existing. Something else is existing. The whole earth is existing. The solar system is existing, we say. But then Vedanta doesn't accept this type of existence. Vedanta says that all these things are subject to change and decay and disappearance. Because I am now existing in this 21st century, a little bit in 20th century and a little bit in 21st century, and will not be there after a few years. Same is the case with everyone. And then this earth itself, if we say, earth itself will be there for a few billion years. Then thereafter we do not know what it happens. Even the solar system, it will not be there after a few billion years. So similarly the whole universe, we do not know what is going to happen. The whole universe again, we say that it evolves and resolves. So that is what Vedanta says. It is not as though the creation is a one-time affair. The creation, it comes in terms of cycles. So this creation keeps on appearing and then dissolving, keeps on appearing and dissolving. So that is what we say. So this everything, whatever is called creation, is something which is impermanent. It is something which is appearing and disappearing. So that is why it is said, it is not Sat. But at the same, Sat is, what is Sat then? Sat is something which cannot be negated at any point of time. This consciousness, the notion that I, the notion of I, that I is something which cannot be negated. The body-mind complex may die, but the Chaitanyam or consciousness is something which is not going to die. So that Chaitanya or pure consciousness or intelligence is something which is always existing. So that is something which is Sat. Then what is Asat? Asat, for all purposes here is, in this context, Asat is something which never exists. It is only existing in a verbal form, in the form of some words, but not really existing. Something like Vandhyaputra, the son of a barren woman. That is a standard example given. Son of a barren woman means that is something which cannot exist. Otherwise, the woman cannot be called barren. Another example is Kapushpam, some flower in the sky, or Akasha, building somewhere, some Akasha Hermium, some building in the house, building in the air, etc. So this is something which cannot exist. So this is Asat, that is absolutely not existing. So this is something, this universe which we see, or Maya, the effect of Maya, is something which is not absolutely real, which is not absolutely non-existing, which is not absolutely unreal. So then it is, that is why it is said, Sad apina, Asad apina, Ubhayatmika apina. It is not even the combination of both, because if it were to be, this Sat cannot be Asat and Asat cannot be Sat. So these are mutually exclusive. When they are mutually exclusive, there cannot be a combination. So Sadapina, Asad apina. Because in Vedanta there is one particular line, Sat Chetana Badhyeta, Asat Chetana Pratiyeta. If it were to be Sat, this whole universe, etc., if it were to be Sat, it would not become negated. Whereas for a Jnani, it becomes negated. The universe, for all practical purposes, it may be appearing, but he doesn't look at the universe as universe, but he looks at the universe as Brahman. So that gets negated in his case. Then if it were to be totally Asat, it would not be appearing. So for all transactional or empirical purposes, it is appearing. We are transacting so much of business with that. So it is neither Sat nor Asat nor a combination of both. So that is that first line, Sanna Pyasanna Pyubhayatmikano. The next line is Bhinna Pyabhinna Pyubhayatmikano. Bhinna api na, Bhinna api na, Abhinna api na. That Bhinna means different. Different from what? Different from Brahman. It is not different from Brahman. If you say that it is something different from Brahman, then you are cutting at the very definition of Brahman. You see, Brahman is, that is one existing consciousness, infinitely existing consciousness. There can't be anything outside that infinity. You can't visualize something, I am outside that infinity. You can't say, you are very much in the infinity, you are that infinity. So this Bhinna api na, that is, if you say that it is different from Brahma, the very definition of Anantatva, that infinite nature, that would be hit. Then if we say that it is not different from Brahma, what is the consequence? Okay, then that will also be as eternal as Brahma, as non-negatable as Brahma, isn't it? If you say that it is Abhinna, Brahma Abhinnam, then if you say like that, then what is the consequence? It will also become non-negatable, like Brahman itself. No, but it is negatable. Once after realization, it is negatable. So you cannot say it is Bhinna, you cannot say it is Abhinna. And you can't say it is a combination of both, because this Bhinna and Abhinna cannot coexist at the same point of time. So it is, and at different points of time also you can say, at different points of time also you can't say it is Bhinna and Abhinna. So that is the reason why it is, you can't say either this or that or a combination of that. Then the same is similarly, there is another thing called, word called Avayavi and Niravayavi. Avayavi means something, some body which is having some parts, a whole, which is, whole is WHOLE, whole, a whole which is having some parts or limbs. So Avayavi, whatever is Avayavi, it is something which is born at some point of time, isn't it? So but this Maya is something which is Anadi. So that is what this third line says, Sanga Pyananga Pyubhayatmikano. Sanga means what? Sa plus Anga. Anga means limb or Avayava. Sanga means Savayava. Ananga means Na plus Anga becomes Ananga. That is limbless. That is Niravayava or Niravayavi, whatever it is. So Savayavi and Niravayavi. If it were to be Savayavi, then what will happen? If it were to be Savayavi, it will have some origin and it will have a progress, decay, etc., etc. But it is not something which is, it is not something which is born in time. It is something which is called Anadi. Maya is called Anadi. In Vedanta, there are certain Anadi things which have been postulated. Jiva is said to be Anadi. Jiva, Isha. Isha, that is At the level of Hiranyagarbha, that empirical level of creator, what we say, that is Ishvara. Vishuddha chit, Jiva Isho Vishuddha chit, Tatha Jiveshayor Bhida. Jiva Isha. Vishuddha chit means that pure consciousness, what we call Supreme Brahman. Then Tatha Jiveshayor Bhida. The difference between Jiva and Isha. That is again Anadi. Then Avidya tat chitor bhedaha shadasmakam anadayah. There is a line from like that. This is somewhere the famous line from somewhere. I have forgotten the reference. Avidya. Avidya is what we are discussing, Ajnana or Maya. Avidya and Maya almost synonymously. Then tat chitor bhedaha. The difference between Avidya and Maya. So these are the things are anadi, originless. When did it start? If somebody asks, when did it start? When did this contact between Maya and Brahman start? You can't say it is anadi. You can't explain it. Similarly, Jiva. When is the first Jiva Bhava? You can't explain, because Maya is in anadi. When Maya is anadi, Srishti is anadi, Jiva is anadi. So it is like that. So these are the anadis. So that is why Sangha, Avayavi, you can't say it is Avayavi. Because if you say Avayavi, it becomes having something which has some origin. But this is something which has no origin. When you say Niravayavi, it cannot transform. A Niravayavi thing cannot transform into various other things. Niravayavi, if you say it is Niravayavi like Brahman, if it is Niravayavi, it cannot transform itself into all this universe, etc., etc. So only a Savayavi can undergo some change. A Niravayavi cannot undergo some change. So it cannot be called Niravayavi also. It is neither Sangha nor Ananga. Sangha, Ananga. Because it is Maya is Strilinga, you are saying Sangha, Ananga, Anangapi, Ubhayatmikano. It is neither a combination of both. Then Mahadbhuta Nirvachaniya Rupa. Mahadbhuta, it is something which is wonderful. That is why Gita says, Ascharyavat Pashyati Kaschidenam, Ascharyavat Vadati, Tathaiva Chanyaha, etc., etc. It is applicable to Maya also. Then Mahadbhuta, it is something which is wonderful. Anirvachaniya Rupa. So finally, what is the conclusion? This is something which is undefinable or indefinable or indeterminable. Something which cannot be defined, which can't be told as to what exactly is its nature. It can only be told in so many contradictions. So this is the very wonderful shloka about Maya, a good definition about Maya. Sannapya, Sannapya, Bhayatmikano, all the 3 points they have been covered. Then it is continuing. The next shloka also continues to explain this Maya. Then the next shloka, Shuddha Dvaya Brahma Vibodhanashya Sarpa Brahmo Rajju Vivekato Yatha Rajastamas Sattvamiti Prasiddha Gunastadiya Prathita Isvakaryahi. Then it is talking about when this Maya is coming to an end. We have seen that Maya is something that doesn't have an origin, but it is coming to an end, definitely. When? It is coming to an end when a person realizes, when the Jiva realizes that he is of the nature of Brahman. There is only one Brahman which is there, and all this is an appearance in Brahman. This whatever universe or whatever phenomena is something which is a modification or modification of that Maya only. It is a manifestation in that Brahman. When Jiva realizes it, then this Maya gets negated. So that is what he says. Shuddha Dvaya Brahma Vibodhanashya. It is Nashya. Nashya means that which can be demolished. Nasha means what? Nasha means destruction. Nasha. Nashyam is the something which cannot be which can be destroyed. Nashyam. Nashya is feminine. That's all. Nashya is masculine. Nashya is feminine. That's all. So Nashya, it is something which is negatable. It is not you can't say, you need not say destroyable. You can say it is negatable, sublatable. Sublation is another word which is commonly used. It is something which is negatable. When Shuddha Advaya Brahma Vibodhena. Shuddha Advaya Brahma Vibodhena. Vibodha means knowledge, proper understanding. Vibodha. Vibodhena, that is Jnanena. Jnanena Iyam Maya Nashya. That becomes negatable. Then what sort of jnana? Shuddha Advaya Brahma Jnana. Shuddha means what? Nirguna, totally attributeless. That Brahman is something which is having no connection, no direct connection with. So all these things, Brahma is something which is immutable, it is something which undergoes no change. So Shuddha, Advaya, that is something which is non-dual. There is only one thing which is existing, which is appearing as many. Shuddha, Advaya, Brahma, Vibodha. By such knowledge, this Maya is going to be negated. Is negatable. Nashya is negatable. Nasham means destruction. Nasham, ruin, whatever it is, destruction. Nashya is that can be destroyed, that which can be destroyed or negated. Then how? Sarpabhramo Rajju Vivekato Yatha. Rajju Vivekataha, by knowing that rope as it is. Rajju Viveka. Viveka means knowledge, correct knowledge. By discrimination. Rajju Vivekato. Properly discriminate and find out that it is Rajju. Then Sarpabhramaha Yatha Vinashya Tathaiva Yam Maya Api Vinashya. So Sarpabhramaha Rajju Vivekato Yatha. Just as the Sarpabhrama can disappear, Sarpabhrama disappears, the delusion of snake disappears. Sarpabhrama is the delusion of snake, disappears by knowing the real nature of the rope. Then Rajas, then that is how the first statement is over. Sarpabhramo Rajju Vivekato Yatha, one statement is over. The next line, it is talking about the three gunas. Rajas tamas sattvam iti prasiddha gunaha tadiyaha. Tadiyaha means of this Maya. Tadiyaha, belonging to that. Tadiya belonging to that. Asmadiya, Bhavadiya, Tadiya, like that. Gunaha tadiyaha. These three gunas belong to that. What are these three gunas? Prasiddhaha. They are so famous gunas. Rajaha, Tamaha, Sattvam, Iti. These three gunas, they are so famous, belonging to that Maya. Prathitaihi Swakariyaihi. Prathitaihi Swakariyaihi means they are known by their well-known evolutes. Karyam means effect or evolute. There is something, if clay is the say material cause, the pot, 100 varieties of pots, they are all evolutes, we can say. They have evolved from that. So like that is the karyam, that is the effect. So prathitai swakaryehi, by all its well-known, prathita means well-known, famous. Prathitaihi swakaryehi, by these effects which are so well-known, so very well seen, so very well cognized by all of us. So prathitaihi swakaryehi. Then the next we are coming to this, what is the nature of Rajoguna. So he is first explaining the Rajoguna because this Rajoguna is responsible for creation. So we come across three words called Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, when we are not in Vedanta class, we can say that Brahma is somebody who is having four heads and then his wife is Saraswati, etc. Vishnu is somebody who is there on some serpent couch and then his wife is pressing his legs, etc. Then Shiva is somebody who is there dancing in Kailasa with his consort Parvati, etc. outside the Vedanta class. But in a Vedanta class, we have to realize that these three are mere names for different functions which we see in this universe. So these three different functions are the creation, the sustenance and resolution, resolving back into its original source. So these three are the functions, cosmic functions which take place every day, every minute. So these are the cosmic functions which go on eternally and eternally. So these three cosmic functions, we have given three names. So here, this cosmic function called creation, for creation you should have a lot of energy, isn't it? So Brahma there symbolizes Rajoguna, Vishnu symbolizes Sattvaguna, and Shiva symbolizes Rudra, or Rudra symbolizes Tamoguna, because it is resolving back. Tamoguna is just sleeping and then resolving back, isn't it? So like that, it is resolving back. Srushti, Sthiti, Laya. So this creation, Brahma is associated with this Srushti, associated with this Rajoguna. So Vikshepa Shakti Rajasah Kriyatmika Yatah Pravrutti Prasuta Purani Ragadayosya Prabhavanti Nityam Dukhadayo Ye Manaso Vikaraha. So he is talking about one thing called Vikshepa Shakti. So this Maya is supposed to have say two types of appearances. Maya, it has got two manifestations or two Shakti. It is called two Shakti, means two types of powers, let us say. So what are those powers? One is the power of projection. So that is the first, he is describing the power of projection. So there are actually the two Shaktis are called Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. Avarana means to conceal the truth. So there is something, I am concealing the truth, projecting something else. So Avarana Shakti is just that is concealing the truth. It is one Shakti. Vikshepa is projecting something which is untruth, not totally untruth, but it is unreal, mithya, that is something tentatively existing. So tentatively, empirically, transactionally existing. So that is what is called empirical truth. So this Avarana Shakti is concealing, Vikshepa Shakti is projecting. So first thing he is explaining the Vikshepa Shakti. So Vikshepa Shakti Rajasa Kriyatmika. Kriyatmika, Kriya means activity. Kriyatmika means which is of the nature of activity, which is of the nature of creation, that is, or otherwise active by nature. Thus Rajoguna is something which is active by nature or which is of the nature of activity. That is called Vikshepa Shakti. Vikshepa. Vikshepa, the word Vikshepa, you know. Vikshepa means tossing about. The mind is getting in the state of Vikshepa. When I say the mind is not very clear, it is not say quiet on one point. It is getting tossed about. So that is what is called Vikshepa. That is being tossed about. Shipa, the root meaning of Shipa is to throw. Vikshepa means it is thrown about here and there. So this Vikshepa Shakti is that projecting power. Yatah pravruttih prasuruta purani. Yatah pravruttih prasuruta purani. Yatah means from which? From this Vikshepa Shakti. From which Vikshepa Shakti? This pravruttih prasuruta. Pravruttih means this propensity for action. We are all having this propensity that for action. Nai kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krut, says Gita. That is, nobody, even for a second, sits quiet without doing any work. Every second, every minute, you are driven to do some work. You are having some sort of internal drive for doing work and work and work. So every second, if you don't have work, you feel you get bored, and you even start drinking. That also is a work. So at least to quieten the mind, you take some Dayquil or Nyquil and then just quieten the mind and then sleep off. So yataha pravrutti. Pravrutti means action. Pravrutti prasuruta. Prasuruta means it has spread out. Prasuruta, it has emanated. It is so widespread. Purani. Purani means which is ancient. It is called Prasuruta, Purani. All these things are feminine endings because Shakti is feminine. Vikshepa Shakti is feminine. So Vikshepa Shakti, Pravrutti again is feminine. So that is why Pravrutti Prasuruta Purani. Purani Pravrutti Prasuruta. This is something, this action also is something which is there. You can't, it is there from times immemorial. So this Pravrutti is something which is the resultant of the Rajoguna. Then because of the Rajoguna, that a person is always driven to do some action. The next line is Raga Adayosya Prabhavanti Nityam Asyaha. Asyaha means Panchami Vibhakti. From this say Shakti, from this Vikshepa Shakti, Asyaha, that is from this Vikshepa Shakti, Ragadayaha Nityam Prabhavanti. All these say emotions like Raga, Dvesha, that is attachment, hatred, greed, Hrir, Dhir, Bhi, Tyetat, Sarvam, Manayeva, isn't it? All the emotions which are connected with this mind. All those things, they are Prabhavanti, they arise. Abhavanti means arise. Nityam, always, always, eternally. And also Dukkha-dayaha, and also Dukkha, etc. Sorrow, happiness, etc., etc. Dukkha, Adi. Adi means all other things. Various other dualities. Ye Manasaha Vikaraha, those which are, A means those which are, Manasaha Vikaraha, these are all modifications of the minds. These are all Chitta Vritti, you can say Manaso Vikaraha, the modifications of mind. In other words, you can call Chitta Vritti. Hrir, Dhir, Bhi, etc., etc. All these things, they are all different Chitta Vrittis. So there are various thought frames or various moods which are emotions, so which are the modifications of mind, whatever you can say. Then he is continuing the effects of Rajas. The next shloka also, he is continuing the effects of Rajas. Kamah krodho lobha dambhadyasuya hankarershya matsaradhyastu ghoraha Dharmayete rajasah pum pravrittir yasmadesha tadrajo bandha hetuhu. So many words are combined in this because Lobha dambahadhyasuya hankarershya matsaradhyastu ghorah. So many words are squeezed into one another. So kamaha, these are all the effects of rajas, this rajoguna which is responsible for this drive in a person, in all beings, not only in a human being but in all beings. This drive which is there, kamaha, desire, krodha, we know that if you don't achieve what you want, you will be angry, that is krodha. Then lobha, once you achieve it, you want to preserve it, that is lobha. Then dambha, dambha, you have a beautiful say meaning given by Shankaracharya in Gita Bhashyam. Dhamma is what? Dharmadhvajitvam. That is holding a flag and say that I am a dharmika, I am a great man. That is called spiritual pride, declaring to everybody that I am a dharmika, I am a righteous man. So that is self-righteousness. In English we have a word called hubris, 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 the spiritual pride. So dambha, dambhadi, asuya. Asuya is irshya. Asuya is guneshu doshavishkaranam. That is, in a virtuous person, you are attributing some say mistakes in him. In a virtuous person, you are seeing some defects in his virtue. So that is called asuya. Ahankara. Ahankara is ego, pride here. Irshya is jealousy. Matsara is another say wonderful thing. Matsara, the actual meaning is not exactly jealousy. Of course, one of the meanings is jealousy. Matsara is unwillingness to give something where you don't lose anything. Suppose you are a great scholar. You are capable of doing some good to others. You are capable of teaching somebody. You are capable of giving some advice. But still you don't bother to give. That is what is Matsara. So this meaning is beautifully explained by Bhartruhari in his very first shloka of Bhartruhari, this Trishati. That Niti Shataka, Bodharo Matsaragrastaha. If you see the first shloka, leaving the prayer shloka, immediately after the prayer shloka, the first shloka is Bodharo Matsaragrastaha, Prabhavas Mayadushitaha, Abodhopahatashyanye Jirna Vange Subhashitam. So the Bodharaha, Matsaragrasta, Bodharaha means what? Bodharaha means the people who are capable of teaching others. The people who are brilliant people, say intellectuals, let us say, Matsaragrastaha. They don't want to do their job. Intellectuals, they don't want to do their job. Intellectuals, their job is to guide the society, but then they don't want to. They are happily enjoying some perks and then they are happily being bribed by the governments, etc. So even at the time of Bhartruhari, the same thing was there. So intellectual dishonesty. So that intellectual dishonesty is what is called Matsara. So this is a beautiful word. This is an explanation given not by me, explanation given by the same Swamiji, Chandrasekhara Bharati Swami. He has used one word called Matsara. Of course, I have not noted that word here. That is unwillingness to share, even when you have nothing to lose. So that is Matsarya. Then Ahankara, Matsaradhyastu, Ghoraha. All these things are Ghora. Ghora means what? Terrible. Why are they called terrible? Because with all these things, you are not going to have either this world or the next world. So that is the explanation given. Why are they Ghora? Because it is Iha Para, both you will lose. Iham means this world and also Para, the other world. Both worlds are lost by having all these qualities. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Dambha, etc., etc. You are not going to have this world nor the other world. Then Dharma yete Rajasaha Pum Pravrittir Yasmad Esha. So then Dharma yete Rajasaha. These dharma means all these properties. Rajasaha means depending on, born out of Rajas. Rajasaha, relating to Rajas or Rajasaha. Pum Pravrittihi Yasmad. Yasmat Pum Pravrittihi. From which Pum Pravrittihi means man's motivation. Puman is a human being. Not only man, but you tell any being. Pum Pravrittihi. The motivation for any being. Driving force, let us say. Pravritti is the driving force. So this driving force behind every being is because of this Yasmat. Yasmat means because of this Yasmat Pum Pravrittihi. From which the human action springs. You can note like that. From which all human action springs. Then Yesha means this particular, this pravrutti, Yesha pravrutti, Yesha connects to pravrutti, Yesha pravrutti, or rather Yesha pum pravrutti, Yasmat, Jayate is understood. Then Tad Rajo Bandha Hetuhu, that sort of Rajas, this Rajas which we are talking about is Bandha Hetuhu, means the cause for bondage. Because of the drive, you are doing some action, and the action is giving a result, and in order to experience the result, you have to take another birth. So like that, another birth, etc. It is a bandha hetu, constant bandha hetu. So the raja is something which has to be checked, which has to be slowly cut down. So that is why we advocate karma yoga, etc. in Vedanta. In Bhagavad Gita, karma yoga is advocated. Why? You are no doubt driven to action. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati. Akarma krut. So you jolly well, okay, you drive, you do that action, but then don't expect the fruit of that action. You do it as a sort of offering to the divine. You do it with an Ishwararpana buddhi, as a part of your duty, to the say samashti. So like that. So tad rajo bandha hetuhu. Now he is giving tamoguna. He is explaining this tamoguna. Yesha vrutirnama tamogunasya shaktiryaya vastvavabhasatenyatha saisha nidanam purushasya samsruter vikshepa shakte pravanasya hetuhu. So the vikshepa shakti has been described first. What is the cause of vikshepa shakti? Or prior to that, he is now explaining the cause of vikshepa shakti. That is avarana shakti. It is only when there is avarana there can be vikshepa, isn't it? It is only when you conceal the truth, you can project something else. So he is now talking about this avarana shakti. This avarana shakti or concealing power is because of tamoguna. This tamoguna which is there in that maya, yesha vrutirnama tamogunasya shaktihi, up to that point. That is tamogunasya shaktihi. The power of this tamoguna is Yesha, this avrutir nama, that which is called avrutihi. Avrutihi means avaranam. That is concealing. Avrutir nama, this sort of hiding the truth or concealment. So that is the power. Yaya, by which vastu avabhasate anyatha. An object avabhasate, it appears otherwise. It is something, but it appears otherwise. So because of this concealment, it appears otherwise. So vastu avabhasate anyatha. Then saisha nidanam purushasya samsrutehe. Sa yesha. Saisha is sa plus yesha is saisha. This particular shakti, nidanam. Nidanam is the cause. In Telugu we use the word nidanam in a different sense. Nidanam means slow down, slow. So nidanam is actually a medical term which is used in Ayurveda. Nidanam is the cause for a disease. So maybe we can take it as that also here. Nidanam, it is the cause for this disease called samsruti. Samsruti is transmigration. Saisha nidanam purushasya samsrutehe. This is the cause for a human being's transmigration. Not only human being, but all the beings. The transmigration. That is because of this thing only you are driven to action, you are doing something, and then you are getting transmigration. Then vikshepa shakte pravanasya hetuhu. This is also the hetu. Hetu means the cause. For what? Vikshepa shakte pravanasya. Pravanasya means prasarasya. What does your book say? Pravanasya or prasarasya? Prasarasya seems to be a better patham. In fact, that Sringeri patham seems to be a better patham than Ramakrishna Mission patham. Vikshepa shakte pravanasya hetuhu or prasarasya hetuhu. This is the cause for the operation of pravanasya or prasarasya. Prasaranam is prasaranam, you know. Prasaranam, shakti prasaranam. Vidyut prasaranam. Vidyut prasaranam means this flowing of electricity through a wire, etc. Prasaranam is operation. So the say hetuhu vikshepa shakte pravanasya. Operation of what? Operation of this vikshepa shakti. So this avarana shakti is the cause for the operation of vikshepa shakti. In other words, this power of concealment is the cause for the operation of this power of projection. So the first thing which comes is avarana shakti, then comes the vikshepa shakti. Is it clear? So then here of course there is a very big shloka, Avarana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti, okay, Vikshepa. Yeah, here of course that Swamiji notes one point. In the case of a Jnani, the Avarana of course disappears. Without Avarana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti cannot operate. Because first of all you have to conceal and then you have to project something else. And then the example given is, it is only when the rope is concealed. When the rope is concealed only, then the snake appears, isn't it? So the rope is concealed, the snake frightens us. But in the case of a Jnani, this Avaranam disappears. In the case of a Jnani, Avarana, that concealment, that disappears. But Vikshepa may continue. How? In the sense that a king like Janaka, an enlightened king like Janaka, he is also handling the whole world. The Avarana Shakti is not there in him. He is not fooled. He is acting like a fool, but he is not fool. So like that, so simple, in a very crude way if I want to say. Avarana Shakti is not there, but Vikshepa Shakti is not indeed affecting him, but it exists in his behavior. So that is how that Swamiji has noted that point, that Vikshepa may continue because of Prarabdha. That is Prarabdha Karma. King Janaka, Rama, etc. You see, Jnani can be anybody. A Jnani can be a sannyasi, a Jnani can be a gruhastha, a Jnani can be king, anything. There is one shloka, what is that shloka? Krishno bhogi shukastyagi. Krishna is bhogi. Krishna is somebody, he is a Jnani, but he was a person who was enjoying life. Shukaha tyagi. Shuka is somebody who has renounced right from childhood. Then Rama, Janaka Raghava, they were kings. Raja something, there is a shloka which says. And then Vasishtha, etc., they were all gruhasthas. They were ordinary gruhasthas who were there in the forest. Vanaprasthas actually. So like that, anybody, Jnani can be anybody. So that is why he says that Prarabdha Karma may continue, like in the case of a Rajarshi. So that is it. So in the next shloka, we'll see. Next shloka is a fairly long shloka. This is in Shardula Vrittam. The Shardula Vritta is that long, say, meter. Prajnavana, because this long meter, why is it used? Because he wants to emphatically describe the effect of Maya. Emphatically tell about the effects of Maya. So he is using a long meter. Prajnavanapi panditopi chaturopyatyanta sukshmarthadruk vyalidhastamasa navetti bahudha sambodhitopi sphutam भ्रान्त्यारोपितमेव साधु कलयत्यालम्बते तद्गुणान् हन्तासौ प्रबला दुरन्ततमसः शक्तिर्महत्यावृतिः. So this Avarana Shakti, it is so terrible. So that is why a long poem is describing it. Even if one to be a very great, highly learned man, learned in Shastras, very great expert in argumentation, and then you are also capable of all subtle nuances and subtle observations, etc. Even such a person, Vyalidhas tamasa, when you are overpowered, when you are encompassed by this tamo guna, then in spite of all the teachings of these scriptures, etc., a person continues to be in that, in that ajnana, in that avidya, state of avidya. So that is what it says. Prajnavanapi. Prajna is what? Prajna is a mature mind, stable. Prajnavanapi, a person who is a highly learned man. Panditopi. For Pandita, the meaning given is Panda is Atmagyanam, isn't it? Panda is Atmagyanam. Pandita means one who is having that Atmagyanam in a theoretical way. Not in a, he has not realized it, only theoretical level. He has got some scholastic, knowledge about Attattvamasi, etc., etc. So Panditopi, Chaturopi, Chaturaha. Chatura is somebody who is trained in logic quite, intensely. That is somebody who is trained, and then Uhapoha Samarthaha. That is the meaning given. Uhapoha Samartha means if you say one thing, he can visualize the next thing. Uha means if you just show something, if you just tell a little bit, he will visualize, he will see all the consequences, he can see the pros and cons. So that sort of Uhapoha Samartha, one who can visualize the pros and cons. Uhapoha Samartha. Then Atyanta Sukshmarthadruk. Sukshmarthadruk, very capable of very subtle observation, capable of knowing even the subtlest meanings. So Sukshmarthadruk. Then Vyalidhas Tamasa. tamasa vyalidhaha. By tamoguna, vyalidhaha. Vyalidhaha means totally he is covered. Vyalidhaha. That is V plus A plus leadhaha. V Visheshena, A Samantat leadhaha. He is so completely leadhaha. Actually, it is from a root liha dhatu. Liha means what is liha? Liha means licking. Vyalidhaha. He is so totally like licking. He is so totally completely encompassed. He is so totally say covered. Vyalidhaha. There is, you can't have a very correct translation for this word Vyalidha. Totally encompassed, totally covered. Vyalidhaha tamasa na vetti. Because he is overpowered by this tamoguna, na vetti, he doesn't know, he cannot see. Bahudha sambodhitopi sputam. Sputam, very, very clearly, bahudha sambodhitopi. So to say, he is this Shruti is trying to wake him up several times. Shruti is trying to wake him up. He is in Ajnana. So Shruti is trying to wake him up. Bahudha sambodhitopi. Sambodhita means, though they were trying to wake him up several times. Sambodhita means somebody who is trying to wake him. Somebody, whom we are waking up. So told several times. Then bhrantya ropitameva sadhu kalayati. So what does he do? So whatever is superimposed by bhranti, bhrantya ropitam, that is by bhranti, whatever is superimposed by this bhranti, that itself he thinks bhrantya ropitameva sadhu kalayati. Sadhu means something which is right, something which is correct. Sadhu kalayati means he thinks that is right. Whatever is bhrantya aropitam, that which is superimposed by bhranti, this gentleman who is deluded by Raja Tamoguna, so he considers that right. And then not only considers that right, alambate tadgunan alambate. He adopts the properties of that thing. He adopts the properties of that, say, bhranti. Whatever is that bhranti aropitam, he adopts the qualities of that bhranti aropita vastu. Then hanta, Shankaracharya is saying hanta, alas, it is like saying hanta, alas, asau prabala duranta tamasaha shaktihi mahatyavruti. So this mahatyavruti is mahatyavruti, this great thing called, say, this avaranam, this mahatyavruti, this great shakti called avaranam is something, it is prabala, prakashena bala is what, very, very strong. So this last line is, if you see the Anvaya, Duranta tamasaha of this tamoguna. Tamasaha is of this tamoguna. What type of tamoguna is this? Duranta. Duranta means, Duranta is dukkanta. That is, which has a tragic end. This rajoguna, tamoguna is sure to have a tragic end. So that is it. So Duranta tamasaha of this tamoguna, which is sure to have a tragic end. This asau avrutihi, this type of avarana shakti is something, mahati shaktihi, this is something which is a strong shakti. Prabala means, again, it is mahati is mighty, prabala is strong. Of course, two similar adjectives are used here, mahati and prabala. Mahati also is mighty, prabala is very, very strong. So prabala shaktihi, this mahati, this avarana shakti is so strong that it deludes even the highly learned people. The basic point told here is, this avarana shakti is so built into our nature, built into our DNA, that we are deluded by that, and then even our great knowledge and whatever empirical, whatever say theoretical knowledge we may have, all that knowledge is of not much use. Then the same thing is being continued. The same thing what are the other effects of this say avarana shakti? So he says, abhavana va viparita bhavana sambhavana vipratipatirasyaha samsarga yuktam na vimunchati dhruvam vikshepa shakti kshapayatyajasram. So this vikshepa shakti, he is now telling about the vikshepa shakti and its evil effects. So the earlier sloka told about the avarana shakti, this vikshepa shakti. Because of this vikshepa shakti, what is it that we are doing? Our whole perspective has changed. Because the truth has been covered. When the truth has been covered, then Vikshepa Shakti is visualizing so many things. Vikshepa Shakti is visualizing so many things. In whatever when this truth we are not able to see. We are not able to see the rope. then you are imagining it as rope. Somebody says it is snake, somebody says it is water which is thrown there, somebody says it is some flower garland, somebody says it is something which is a crack in the ground. So any number of things you can visualize. So that sort of thing. Abhavana is, that is the idea that Jiva and Brahma are one. It is impossible, it is not correct. So that is abhavana. Abhavana means thinking that this idea that this Jiva Brahmaikya is something which is impossible. Abhavana, it is not possible. It is impossibility of oneness, we can say, right like that. Abhavanava. Then Viparita Bhavana. Viparita Bhavana means totally contrary opinion. That is that Dehatma Bhava. That is, I am this body-mind complex. So that is that Viparita Bhavana. Viparita Bhavana. Asambhavana. Asambhavana means samshaya, doubt. Samshaya, asambhavana is, do you have an avagraha there? Viparita Bhavana, asambhavana. You should have an avagraha. Viparita Bhavana, asambhavana. Asambhavana is samshaya. Samshaya is doubt, whether it is this or that. So when that rope you are not able to see, and you want to see whether it is a snake or something else. Asambhavana. Then Vipratipatti Rasyaha. Vipratipatti is all types of contrary knowledge. Vipratipatti. Normally, of course, now when we say, I don't have any Vipratipatti with you, I don't have any disagreement. That's in the normal meaning. Asmin Vishaye na asmakam Vipratipatti. Let us say, if I say like that. So when we are discussing something, okay, in this thing, in this Asmin Vishaye, na Vipratipattihi, namama Vipratipattihi, when I say, I totally agree with you, I don't have disagreement. So here Vipratipattihi is contrary knowledge. The same thing in a slightly different sense. Vipratipatti Rasyaha. Asyaha means, Asyaha again is Panchami Vibhakti of this Vishepa Shakti. Asyaha Vishepa Shaktehe. That is, of this Panchami Vibhakti. Because of this, abhavana, viparita bhavana, etc. That is, this not knowing the reality, and having this dehatma bhava, and having all types of doubts, etc., vipratipatti, contrary knowledge, they are all effects of vikshepa shakti. Then, samsarga yuktam naram na vimunchati dhruvam vikshepa shakti. So this vikshepa shakti, na vimunchati, it doesn't leave. Surely. Dhruvam means surely. Dhruvam na vimunchati. It doesn't leave. Whom? Samsarga yuktam. Samsarga yuktam naram. You can say. Naram is Purusha. Samsarga yuktam Purusham. That is, samsarga is what? Somebody who is interested in samsarga. Somebody who is having that Vishaya Shakti. Somebody is going after sense objects. Somebody is having that clinging to the fruit of karma. Clinging to action. Clinging to the fruit of that action. So that is what is samsarga. Samsarga is attachment. The literal meaning of samsarga is attachment. Somebody who is having this attachment, somebody who is not having this vairagya, who is pursuing things. So that person, so this vikshepa shakti hi na vimunchati. Because you want to do this puja, that upasana, some other upasana, etc. So that is what is the vikshepa shakti. So because people are so confused, they will have 100 gods in their puja room. Because you go to some temple and then the temple pujari gives some small thing that you don't want to throw it away, because you are afraid that if you throw it away, some evil may happen. Some other Swamiji comes and gives another thing. He may give some sort of mala or something like that. You don't want to throw it away. That becomes another burden. Then some other Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba people, they come and give an idol. So you keep that Shirdi Sai Baba also there, because you are afraid of Shirdi Sai Baba also. So like that, we are afraid of, if you have 100 gods, it shows how much we are afraid and how much we are confused. So that is what it is, Vikshepa Shakti. Vikshepa Shakti is having some 100 gods in our puja room. Vikshepa Shakti Kshapayati Ajasram. Ajasram is always. Kshapayati. Kshapayati means it weakens, it makes a man feeble, enfeebles a person. Vikshepa Shakti, because you are not able to have a clear idea. Instead of having a clear idea, you are visualizing 100 things. You are afraid of every Baba, every person, every mantra. Somebody says you follow this mantra, you do this upasana, you do that upasana. There are so many people who frighten us. If you open TV, that somebody comes and says, no, this particular Anjaneya mantram. Somebody else comes and says this particular mantram. Somebody says this particular say precious stone. Somebody says this precious rudraksha. So various things. So there are so many people who are frightening us every day with so many things. So that is because of Vikshepa Shakti. So Vikshepa Shakti, for him it is a business. He is happy. He is not having confusion. For him it is a business. Only for us it is Vikshepa. Then Chapayatyajasram, this Chapayati. We see this word also, Chapayati. Chaya, what is Chaya? Kshaya, Akshaya. Kshaya means decline. Chapayati is the verb form for that. Chapayati. That is, it weakens, it enfeebles us. This Vikshepa Shakti is something which weakens, debilitates us. Then the next shloka also is describing the effects of tamas, tamoguna. Ajnanamalasya jadatva nidra pramada mudhatva mukhas tamogunaha etaih prayukto na hivetti kinchit nidraluvat stambhavadeva tisthati. This tamoguna is something which is maybe probably less harmful than say this Rajoguna and this Vikshepa Shakti and all that, because he is simply just sleeping. Ajnanam alasya jadatva nidra. Ajnanam, ignorance. A person is totally deluded. He is just being guided by others. Whatever somebody says. Ajnanam is, what is that? Parapratyaya neya buddhihi. Somebody says something and then you are guided by that. Somebody gives an order, you are following that order. So that is what is the effect of tamoguna. So ajnanam, alasyam, alasatvam is laziness. Alasatva is laziness. Jadatva again is dullness. Jada versus chetana, isn't it? Chetana is active. Jada means dullness. Jadatva, nidra, that is sleep. Pramada is anavadhanata, inattentiveness. Pramada is not accident, pramada is inattentiveness. You are supposed to pay attention to that, but we are not able to pay attention. Mudhatva, deluded by everything. Every Swami comes and says something, every Fakir comes and says something, he gives some talisman, we want to wear it. Mudhatva mukha means etc. Mudhatva mukhaha. We have come across this word mukhaha. Mukhaha means such things, such as. The meaning mukhaha is such as. Mudhatva mukhaha, etc., etc. Mudhatva mukhaha, tamogunaha. These are all the characteristics, these are all the properties of this tamogunaha. Then etaih prayuktaha, a person who is associated with this, etaihi means by these, prayuktaha, a person who is driven by these things, a person who is associated, let us say. Prayukta actually means driven, a person who is driven by this prayoga, yuja dhatu, a person who is prayukta, who is driven by these things. Nahi vetti kinchit, he doesn't understand anything. Nidraluvat stambhavadeva tishtati. So nidraluvat tishtati. Nidralu is what? A person prone to sleep is called nidralu. This is some pratyaya. That pratyaya, I forget that pratyaya. Like shraddhalu. Shraddhalu is what? A person who has the tendency to be, say, very studious. Very shraddha, tendency to have shraddha. A person who has the tendency to have shraddha is called shraddhalu. Nidralu means a person who has tendency to sleep off. So that is nidralu. So nidraluvat stambhavadeva, stambhavat, like a pillar. Stambha is a pillar. Or something, a log of wood, like a log of wood or like a pillar, he just stays. He doesn't, there is no action in him. It is at least not very dangerous. So this ajnana, effects of ajnana are described in this. The next shloka talks about sattva guna. We will continue in the next class. Harihi Om Tat Sat.